people need to understand the difference, I guess, between criticism and hate. Like, not every comment that is contrary to your beliefs is essentially a hate comment. Like, some people are just trying to educate. Some people are just trying to have a discussion. And you do see it very, like, I hate to bring politics into it, but you do see it very frequently in politics where it's like, on your point just then of all lives matter, Black Lives Matter, there's no reason for that to be a fight, for there to be like riots and shit over that one comment. Whereas people quickly politicize issues and it very rapidly becomes aggressive and
Well, are you talking
violent.
Are you talking about
doesn't have to.
violent in person, or are you talking about aggressive and violent over Twitter?
Well, to be fair, on the topic of Black Lives Matter, that actually did happen in real life, like protecting the statues and fighting man and stuff, but I'm talking more specific on socials, like how people just quickly get into mad beefs online, mad DMs and stuff over something that was really just a regular critical statement that never needed to be taken so harshly.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think it's all right. Let me ask you this question, right? All lives matter, right? All lives matter. If we go on specifically, all lives matter, right? If all lives matter, surely the black lives that are being murdered on the streets, and American black lives being murdered across the streets in the world, if all lives really matter, surely all of these guys will be outraged too, right? They'd be outraged just as much as we are, because based on their statement, all lives matter, so they should be outraged too. Like that's common sense, right? If all lives matter, you should be outraged at these lives also dying, or all these lives being murdered. But they're not, because I think it's not, in certain situations, in certain circumstances, it's not necessarily about defending or critiquing another side. It's sort of creating conflict because you want conflict, because you have deeper views that you want to extract. Because when you think about all lives matter, it's racist. It's racist.
Yeah. Fundamentally, yeah.
So that's why, like, I'm not gonna sort of like that's why it's not really a thing about critiquing or sort of arguing against it. It's just because you're racist.
Yeah. It's kind of sad to see, but I guess there's not really much that can be done at this point in time.
I don't know. I think one thing that, like, one takeaway I've taken from, like, Black Lives Matter and, like, the movement from this summer. Also, by the way, just to let you know, like, for example, the protests are going on in America. They're still going on. Like, just because we don't hear about it in the news doesn't mean that they're not going on. It's just sort of died down in the news, but, like, it's continuously going on a daily basis in America. And I think it's a great thing because awareness has been raised. And I at least want to be optimistic, in the sense that I want to see change, and change is happening, albeit slowly. At least there are changes being made, and we can sort of be hopeful in that fact. I don't want to be pessimistic and just assume that, yeah, you know what, there's nothing I can do, nothing's going to be changed. I at least want to be optimistic in the sense that, you know what, like, things are, like, there is momentum there, and how can I help keep this momentum going, and how can I help make the change go? As in, like, for example, because let's say with my mentality about, yeah, you know what, it's just life. Like, for example, there's not much more I can do as a person. If everyone thought like that, then, the momentum will slowly, like, slow down, and, like, we wouldn't really make progress. But I think as a person, you just have to be optimistic and just keep pushing.
Yeah, for sure. I think my interpretation on, like, racism, I mean, I'll try and be concise, because obviously this isn't the platform for for in-depth debate, but I think I very much see it as, like I explained the other day, I kind of see racism as like a World War Zero, because it's so much bigger than just black and white, or, white on Asian, or like, racism is an actual thing that is a worldwide issue that has to be dealt with. It's, way beyond politics, way beyond social, like, it's an actual prominent thing that goes on.
Yeah.
The way I see it is like, I see it the same way as like a typical war. You have like your generals, you have your captains, your this, your that, and your troops. I think the troops are like the social media warriors who are the black square stuff. They kind of just do their part. But we really need actual, generals, actual leaders within the black community ourselves to designate people to target one war at a time, like one battle at a time. Sorry, like, police brutality is one thing. I think, like, we'll touch on this in a second anyway, but like institutional racism, getting access into these different industries like finance and stuff that we talk about as well. Like, these are all different battles that come under the overall umbrella, the overall war of, race. And I think my stance is that I see myself as someone who, like this podcast, for example, I'm kind of opening spaces, people to chat. I'm kind of like, in some capacity, like I hope there are people out there, ethnic minorities that are listening and trying to learn how to get into these places through what I say, what we say, the advice we give. And that's very much my stance. Like, I don't think we can change how people think, but we can definitely change the people that are in the positions to have to do the thinking for us. And I just want to keep bringing up that bottom line, making sure that one day is going to be someone that can compete, that can make the decisions, that can make systematic change or systemic change. I don't know how to articulate that, what I ask you, what the difference is between the two words, but that's my stance on it. That's why I think I can't really do anything in terms of, arresting the guys that killed Breonna Taylor, for example. I'm not putting a hashtag out because I don't think anything's going to happen. But I think one day if we do keep putting people in the spots to make changes, then, maybe our kids or grandkids will have a better life. Maybe you can bring Hackney up to the standard.
Wait, don't sell me that highly. I'm not that great of a person. I get what you're trying to say. Like a systematic and targeted approach, like on multiple fronts, and sort of being a bit targeted in how we do things. It's tough because there's no real sort of like central place where like, I don't know, like with racial equality, it's very tough because, I'm just trying to think how to word this, because we do need to be more systematic, and it's like, it is what you said. Like, for example, there are different like branches on how like racism is. Like, there's racism in the workplace, there's racism via police brutality, there's racism in education, and there are loads of branches that need to be tackled. And it takes time because we need the right people in the right positions to sort of get us into that platform. And that's dependent on us, remember, because let's say, for example, you're voting for the politicians that elect these people in those positions. You're also working in these sectors as well. So you need to be able to be in a position to either like, maybe you should be the one that should be in this, like obviously not now as a 22-year-old person. You're not going to really be the managing director of a firm that's going to be like, I'm going to be the one leading on racial equality and how we hire people in the firm, but sort of like developing yourself to eventually either become that person or at least help promote and help people get into that position. So it's a tough one and it does take time. And I think it's annoying because like how much time does it need to take? Because this is what's been going on for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Like, are we really going to just keep saying it's going to take time when all that's happened is time and not much has changed? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's like, and you brought this word up last time that kind of stuck with me as well when we talked about being deliberate. And actually, like, it's one thing to say, oh, time heals and your time will make change. But if you're just sitting there waiting for change to happen, it's not gonna happen itself. Yeah. You have to keep your foot on the gas and keep instigating those changes. Otherwise, like, it's time in vain.
And I think even just with deliberate choices, I think that applies for everything. You have to make sure that, I think as a person, in terms of the choices that you make with regards to your career, with regards to your university choices, with regards to how you spend your time, you're in control of it basically. And you just need to make sure that, like, for example, even if it's a bad choice, even if it's a choice that you might regret or you learn from or is sort of something, at least be deliberate in your choice and at least make sure that the choice you're making is right for you at that time. It might be right for you at that time and it turns out, you know what, I made the wrong choice, but at least be deliberate and ensuring that, you know, at least I made that choice and I made that choice when it was the right choice for me at that time. And, you know, you can stand by that choice because of the reason you've made. And then obviously with hindsight, you can sort of be like, oh, I could have done this, I could have done that. But at least you know sort of why you made that choice and like you can stand by that reason.
Yeah. I think tying that all together, do you feel like your, I guess, perspectives and your, life experiences to date have influenced the way you've gone about, applying to jobs, or like, I guess, progressing in your job? And I guess university as well in some capacity. Because surely, like, when you know that, your home country is not the safest, you know that your area is like being rapidly gentrified, you're kind of intrinsically at a disadvantage just based on your race. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I can only imagine that compelled you to work so much harder.
Mm. Um, I think I mentioned this to you before, but like my mentality and working hard it's always been the same. It's always been consistent. And I think I can link it back to being deliberate in your choices in the fact that for me, I try and live my life in the mentality of not having a regret. And what I mean by that is, obviously, so with me, it's always sort of ensuring that with whatever I do, I put my best effort, all my work, all my effort, all sort of like all my preparation into what I do. So for example, with my exams, with my uni exams, with my work, just with my life as well. Like if I put all my effort into everything, if I make sure that I do what I can do and ensure that I've done what I can for this specific thing, at the end outcome, I'll always be happy with, because I know that I couldn't have done more to change that aspect. I couldn't have done more to change the outcome. Let's say, for example, I do an exam and I get a C, but I know I put all my hardest work into getting that C. I'm going to be happy with that C because I know I couldn't have put more work into getting above a C. So if I put all my work into it, I know I couldn't have done more. So I'm going to be happy with it. And for me, it's ensuring that how can I then make all my choices and how can I make all my outcomes, how can I be happy with all my outcomes and be happy with all my choices? Because I know that I've put all my work and all my effort and sort of, I have done what I can for this. So then whatever happens, I know I've done the best that I could. And for that reason, I'll be happy with it. I do that with my uni degree. I do that with my work. And I ensure that, for example, I just make sure that I don't want to leave with the thought that I have regrets. So I know that, for example, I could have done better here, or I could have done more here, or I should have done this and I should have done that. I don't like that mentality. For me, it's at least, okay, if something didn't go as well, I can be like, all right, I can learn from this and do this instead. But it's not a mentality of I should have done this at that time. It's sort of, I can learn from this and put this in a different scenario, a different environment. But I never want to be in a position where I think to myself, I should have done this or I could have done this more, because I at least want to be in a position where with whatever I do, I'm always happy with the outcome because I put my work into it.